I think the Denver Broncos could have the biggest rise out of every team and where they landed last year, this year in 2025, and here's why. Now, there's no mystery. If you've come to this channel before, you know how big of a 𝗏𝗧𝗎𝗓 fan that I actually am. We were one of the only channels out there that said that he would have the rise that he had, but this is neither here nor there. Let's take a look at why I think this team overall could have the best rise out of any team from where they were last year to this year. And let's start by this. 6 of the 7 losses that the Broncos endured last year were by 1 score, and 2 of those were against their conference rivals in the Chargers and the Chiefs. Of course, the worst loss that they endured last year were due to the Baltimore Ravens, who beat them 41-10, but we also know the meteoric rise that Lamar Jackson had at quarterback. It's not a bad stat when you really think about it at the end of the day. If everything was to come together in those games, if they had one more weapon, if they had a consistent running game or a consistent wide receiver, how good this team could have been at the end of the day. It's just how I think about what Kansas did last year by the time that they played Colorado. A lot of us were thinking like, hey, Kansas might be able to beat them. A bunch of their losses were by 1 score as well. And the same can be true about this with the Broncos. If some of those losses were to turn in their favor, what could have their season been like? And I could tell you right now, if those games would have turned the opposite way, we're looking at a 16-1 team in the Denver Broncos. Here's another stat for you. 𝗏𝗧𝗎𝗂𝗧 was the 4th least sacked quarterback in the NFL. The full-time quarterbacks, the ones that didn't get hurt, he was number 4 on that list. Due to the likes of number 1 was Jordan Love, number 2 was Josh Allen, and number 3 was Lamar Jackson. And if you know anything about football last year, Josh Allen won MVP, and Lamar Jackson could have won it as well if a couple votes would have went in his favor. It's not a bad stat to base off how good that offensive line was for 𝗏𝗧𝗎𝗂𝗧, most importantly, but 2 of your MVP favorites were also in that category by how well that their offensive line kept them upright. And we know 𝗏𝗧𝗎𝗂𝗧 can scramble out of the pocket and make big plays happen just like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen can. If this is any indication of what can be done now with a run game and a guy that can catch out of the backfield like 𝗎𝙤𝗻𝗓𝗏, the Broncos are on a good trajectory to be a better team this year. The Broncos were a top 5 defense last year, and they led in categories like opponent percentage in the red zone. Now, if you can keep another team out of your red zone, it's going to lead to a lot of success down the road. The Broncos this offseason were one of the best teams in attacking the things that they actually needed as a team to make them successful on defense. And one of the things that they were very, very weak at was obviously in the passing game, giving up some of the most passes and things like that as far as a advanced analytics perspective. And what did they do? They go to the 49ers and they go and get 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 who, if he can stay healthy, can be one of the best game records in the league. Then they also draft a guy that's just as dynamic and can shore up the middle of that field and be an ultimate nickel and maybe a safety at the next level. And that's 𝙎𝙤𝗘𝗓𝗓 from Texas, who we were very, very high on, the top 3-corner nickel safety in this draft. A lot of versatility is going to happen there. And with Riley Moss and Patrick Surtain locking up the outsides and Brandon Jones playing the ultimate safety position, you're talking about probably a very good defense as far as the passing game is concerned to be able to shut that thing down that they were missing last season. Another thing that can't be unsaid is that they built to attack within their division and understanding that the middle of the field has to be contained. So we talked about the 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 and we talked about the 𝗎𝙤𝗘𝗓𝗓𝗏. And if Dre Greenlaw comes back healthy enough, he's going to be a great piece to help stop a lot of the things that happen, especially for the Chiefs. I think that this team is built to beat the Chiefs, but what do they like to do? They like to eat you up in the middle of the field with Travis Kelce and a couple of those weapons. Then they like to run it down your throat when those guys are healthy, like 𝗎𝗍𝗍 Pacheco. Guess what they get? They get guys that can tackle and make big plays, and they focus on that this offseason. But on the opposite side, where nobody else is talking about, the guy that was in front of the country in explosive play percentage was 𝗎𝙤𝗃𝗓𝗏, who they drafted to be the running back. One of the things that was severely lacking in their offensive game plan last year was explosive plays. And now you also get a different dynamic in helping 𝗏𝗧𝗎𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 out, getting him very familiar with what he did at Oregon, like in the Will Will Stein offenses and the Kenny Dillingham offenses is being able to eat you up on swing passes and a lot of short game to open up the long game down the field. I think when we started thinking about this whole game plan of what Sean Payton and the guys want to run out there, 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝗕 might be a bigger piece to the puzzle than what everybody was expecting. And how do you beat guys like the Chiefs and the Chargers and the Raiders? You get you a little guy that can do a little bit of everything as far as running the ball, catching the ball out of the backfield. This can't be going unsaid, but you have really big and fast receivers, and you just get another one in Pat Bryant from Illinois. Let's get back to the wide receiving core, because a lot of people think that maybe they could have improved there, but let's think about what they did by drafting Pat Bryant, who's 6'2", coming out of Illinois. Him and Marvin Mims are actually the shortest two receivers on the team. You have Troy Franklin, who's at 6'3", track star, burning down the field. Devon Vele, who they drafted last year, 6'5", and Cortland Sutton, who they have out there, who's actually 6'4", and they went and got a sneaky pickup that he played some of his years with the New Orleans Saints, and A.T. Perry, who's another weapon at 6'5" that's there. One of the tallest receiving cores in the NFL, but having Pat Bryant there is kind of a change of pace guy who could go up there and snatch the ball and run some of the best routes that you saw in college football last year. You kind of add another dynamic to your offense where Marvin Mims doesn't have to be the slot receiver that they all depended on him to be. You get another guy that's able to do things downfield to help Bo Nix open up that passing game and keep that wide receiving core a little bit more healthy than what they've actually been used to. And probably last but not least, when we really started thinking about what the Denver Broncos have been wanting to do, they've really had a void at their tight end position. And what they went out and did is they got one of the most sneaky pickups of the offseason, which was getting Evan Ingram. And just like the safety blanket that Evan Ingram was for a guy that's as talented, or what we thought was supposed to be as talented, as Trevor Lawrence, you bring him out for Bo Nix in a Sean Payton scheme where he might get a lot more burn than what people are expecting him to get. He's actually had some of his best years under Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence's offense, and now you come in and pair him up with the ultimate game planner in Sean Payton and Bo Nix, who likes to utilize the tight end like he did at Oregon with Terrence Ferguson, and now you pair him up with a great receiving core and a couple guys that he's going to have to block for, and ultimately 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀 and their just more recent pickup in 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝗀𝗡 in the draft. When you start thinking about the trajectory and where the Denver Broncos could have been last year if a couple things would have went their way, if they had some of the weapons that a lot of other teams had on their team as far as consistency, they could have been one of the teams at the top of the heap. And this year, by the way that they addressed their offseason and the way that they're going to attack their division this year, they might be one of the teams that we see a meteoric rise from, not only in record projections, the ultimate and overall play of where their team can be. And this cannot be said enough. If Jaden Daniels wasn't the quarterback for the Washington Commanders last year, Bo Nix probably would have won Rookie of the Year last year. And with that being said, guys, just wanted to give you a little quick video on where I think this team, what team could have the best rise in the NFL. And for right now, by all intents and purposes, when I look at this thing as of right now where we stand right before the preseason, the Denver Broncos could be the sneakiest team to come out and be third to first and knock off the team that they already beat once and lost by 1 score to last year, and the Super Bowl runner-up Kansas City Chiefs. Again, this has been East Coast Gridiron. My name is Dante. We'll see you guys next time.